Hi, this is Christy Wilson. Today I'm here to share with you a picture book extender lesson that you could use with your kindergarten students that is aligned to the ELA Common Core State Standards using the picture book Last Stop on Market Street, written by Matt De La Pena and illustrated by Christian Robinson. This book was written in 2015 by Matt De La Pena and illustrated by Christian Robinson. It's also important to note to your students that this book is an award-winning book, both a Newbery and a Caldecott award-winning book. So one ELA standard that you could address with your kindergarten students using this book, Last Stop on Market Street, is RL.K.3, which is with prompting and support, identify characters, setting, and major events in a story. After reading the book, Last Stop on Market Street with your students, you could ask them several discussion questions. One of them being, who are the characters in the story? Who are the main characters in the story? So not only being able to address who the main characters are, but asking them who other characters were in the story as well. And then asking them, what is the setting in this book? Not only being able to identify what the setting is, but how do they know that? What do the illustrations tell you that help you know that the setting is in fact the city as it is in this story? And then another question would be to ask them to tell you what happened at the beginning of the story, what happened in the middle of the story, and what happened at the end of the story, so that students are able to articulate those major events that occurred in the story in the correct order. An activity that you could do following those discussion questions would be aligned with a writing standard, which is W.K.3, which states, use a combination of drawing, dictating, and writing to narrate a single event or several loosely linked events. Tell about the events in the order that they occurred and provide a reaction to what happened. So you could have your students create a story map where they are drawing, writing, dictating, depending on their ability level, who the characters are in the story, what the setting is in the story, and then drawing what happened at the beginning, middle, and end of the story. In addition to that, they could also choose one event from the story that they could write, dictate, illustrate, that they liked best in the story. Another reading standard that you could focus on using this picture book is RL.K.1, which is with prompting and support, ask and answer questions about key details in a text. So following reading this book with your students, you could ask them, how does CJ feel at the beginning of the story? And have them explain why he's feeling this way. How do they know he's feeling this way? How does CJ feel at the end of the story? And why do his feelings change? Have students explain what events occurred that helped CJ feel a different way at the end of the story than he felt at the beginning of the story. So throughout the story, CJ has lots of questions for Nana, and he questions why they do the things they do and why they don't get to do certain things and why they don't have certain things. And so throughout the story, Nana helps CJ see the beauty in the things around him. So upon reading the story, you could open up the discussion to help students make those text to self connections where you could ask them, What do they think is beautiful? Tell me, what is one thing that you think is beautiful? CJ learns about lots of things in the story that are beautiful. I want you to share with us one thing that you think is beautiful and make that text-to-self connection. Also, it is evident throughout the story that CJ and his Nana have a very special relationship. They spend the day together. They go to different places. CJ asks his grandma lots of questions throughout the story, and she provides very patient and loving explanations to his questions. So it's very evident that they have a very special relationship. And to draw on students to make those text-to-self connections again, after reading the story, you could ask them, who do you think is special in your life? Who is a special person in your life? And what makes that person special to you? Why are they special? A writing activity that you could do after the discussion questions following this book would be aligned with W.K.1, which is use a combination of drawing, dictating, and writing to compose opinion pieces in which they tell a reader the topic or the book they are writing about and state an opinion or preference about the topic or book. So an example that you could do with your children are to say to them, CJ learned a lot about the beautiful things that are around him. He may not have everything that everybody else has or get to do certain things that other children get to do, but he learns to appreciate the things that are around him. So you could tell your students, you're going to take a walk around the school neighborhood and have them look for 3 things that they think are beautiful in their school neighborhood. And when they come back from the walk, they are going to pick one of those things that they find beautiful, and they are going to draw, write, and dictate about that beautiful thing that they saw while on our walk. And after all the students have completed their pages, you could bind those pages together and create a class book that you would place in your classroom library on the things that we find beautiful in our school neighborhood. So hopefully you will find these discussion questions and writing activities helpful using this picture book, Last Stop on Market Street. And you can also adapt these questions and activities to the standards that align with your grade level as well. But hopefully you'll find these somewhat useful to get you